My name is Robert Bala, and I've been asked to chair this press launch. And that's what it is, a press launch. The press have been invited, and at this stage we have over 50, shall we say, significant figures from Irish civic life who've agreed to be patrons of this new initiative. And the invitation went out to those patrons as well. So there are actually no members of the public here. The people who are here are either press or patrons, or there are other people here who are obviously concerned about the issue we're all involved in, and that one of those would be the 1916 Relatives Association, and I would like to welcome them here today.
Now, nobody can deny for a moment there aren't great events in the decades that we're talking about that require to be remembered, etc. But the point is that along the way, the 1916 Rising appears to have been diminished in its status to become yet another event. And it's quite clear, nobody looking at the history of this country could for a moment suggest that 1916 was just another event, or has been pushed in recent times as an event in the First World War, if you don't mind. Well, indeed it was, but it was certainly a seminal event in our history. It wasn't just another event in the Great War. So we have this whole clouding of the debate, the idea that it was just another event, like the 1913 lockout, and it can be celebrated by those who are interested in that sort of area of history. But it doesn't have to be celebrated as a nation. It doesn't have to be a Bastille Day. It doesn't have to be the Tom Stokes idea of Republic Day. So there's no sense of a national celebration, because there's no sense of the great sacrifice made to give us the nation. That's the only conclusion that I can reach. So we have a Taoiseach in office, we have government ministers in office, who apparently believe that they occupy their seats in Dáil Éireann by a quirk of history, rather than as a direct result of history. That's the only conclusion you can reach. And that they don't have to connect back to anything. That they are as they are, career politicians, or whatever way you may want to describe them. And that's why it's necessary that a movement of people come together now. And what a fantastic opportunity there is, a little over a year from now, for that movement to come together, of like-minded people saying, no, we recognise 1916 as something entirely different.
What I want to say is that a group of concerned citizens some time ago decided to launch what would become a citizens' initiative to ensure that the centenary of 1916 would be fittingly and appropriately commemorated in 2016, and decided that the name for that initiative would be Reclaim the Vision of 1916. Obviously, the main concern was to ensure that this seminal event in Irish history would be appropriately commemorated in 2016. That the courage, the bravery, and the sacrifice of that generation would be properly commemorated. But we felt strongly that not only what they did should be commemorated, but the reasons that lay behind what they did should be looked at and should be examined in some detail.
And I feel very much that the kind of debate that the organisers of this event are proposing could help to develop all of us who take part in it. And that debate is going to need the ideas and the analysis, obviously, from many different individuals and many different groups, coming from different experiences and with different perspectives. And we need to build that kind of broad citizens' debate with ongoing engagement, where we listen to and learn from each other, and where we develop really constructive argument. I think constructive argument is one of the things we really need. And I do believe that that kind of process, if we can do that, can broaden and deepen all our understanding of our own needs, all of us as human beings, and help us then, give us a better chance of identifying and agreeing on the kind of organisation of society that can supply the needs of all citizens, and then hopefully to develop the policies that will bring about that new republic. And I would like very much to congratulate the organisers of this initiative and to wish them every success.
The trade union movement, as you know, is its history is entwined with the foundation and the birth of this republic. Many of the leaders in 1916 were also the leaders of the trade union movement. Many went on to fight in the War of Independence, were also strong trade unionists and strong socialists. And we need to ask ourselves now in 2016 about that fight, about that struggle and what it has achieved. Was it just about nationalism, or was it about a vision of a fairer society? And there are questions to be asked 100 years on from the birth of this nation, whether the wealth and the disparity of ownership of wealth and property and land in this country is something which the men and women of 1916 fought for. These are very, very difficult questions. We're coming out of a period of austerity of 6 years where the Irish state, the republic that was fought for over 100 years ago, guaranteed the banking and gambling debts to the tune of 64 billion euros, and that has had huge consequences for every citizen in this country. It has driven many of our brothers and sisters, sons and daughters to the four corners of this world, and many of them never to return. And I think those questions need to be asked and need to be analysed as to what type of republic we envisage for the next 100 years. And and I think that's a role for the trade union movement, for all trade unions, for all citizens. We need to question that, and we need to question the purpose of this republic and where it's going to. So,
the Labour Party are party to that Ireland Inspired event, and James Connolly, their very founder, doesn't appear. His image doesn't appear, and it leads us to question where exactly those who run, in inverted commas, our state, where exactly their heads are in relation to who they are and where they've come from, who they represent today, and where do they come from in terms of representation. There seems to be absolutely no recognition that the positions that they occupy today are as a direct result of the sacrifice of the men and women of 1916.
A people's initiative, a citizens' initiative. And the principles of this are based on the principles that animated the 1916 rising, and these were democracy, sovereignty and independence. We believe that these principles are of vital importance to the Irish people today, and as a consequence of the fact that those principles were enshrined in the Proclamation of 1916, we prepared a proclamation, a new proclamation for a new republic for 2016. So you will see that proclamation behind me, and there are copies of it available. The 24th of April 2016 is a Sunday, which is traditionally always a family day. So this will be not only a historical commemoration, but it will be a celebration involving artists, involving music, involving drama, so that it will have the maximum impact and will be a day that all Irish people can joyfully join in on. I would like to say that by Easter 2015, we would hope to hold a major public meeting where the public will be involved, unlike today. And by then there will be a much fuller programme put together, a much greater coordination of all the different organisations established, and to present to the Irish people a truly broad-based citizens' initiative to ensure that this important anniversary in our history is commemorated in a fitting and appropriate manner.
The head of state of the Navy or a close relative present into a viewing stand, or would you be anathema to that idea?
I think the answer to that is relevance. For instance, I personally, and here I'm speaking personally, would have no problem a few months later, when the centenary of the Battle of the Somme comes up, that a member of the British royal family might attend commemorations here about the Irish who died in the Great War. There seems to be some relevance in that they were serving in the British Army, and the British Army, the leadership of the British Army has always been the British royal family, so there's some relevance there. I think if you look to 1916, you find not just no relevance, but the complete opposite. In fact, the people of 1916 were anti-imperialists. They went out to fight the British Army. So to invite along members of the British royal family who were in fact representatives of the British Army to attend this event would be singularly inappropriate, I believe, and certainly for the relatives of the signatories who were those who were executed by the British. I think if I was one of those relatives, I would be offended that a member of the British royal family would be on the reviewing stand and being given due deference, and their antecedents executed your relative. So I think the word is relevance. I don't think it would be appropriate or relevant for a member of the British royal family to attend the official commemoration of 1916 in Dublin.
It should be recognised as an event in itself, celebrated as an event in itself, commemorated as an event in itself, without apology to anybody, without a sense of post-colonialism, apologising for our freedom, apologising for who we are. And that's the only, in terms of a new generation, that's the march forward for a new generation, to have pride in who they are, a pride in themselves, and not to be going around shamefacedly saying, well, now maybe we were wrong. The French don't have that problem, the Americans don't have that problem. People died, gosh, it shouldn't have happened. Revolutions happen in history, and people die as a result of revolutions. Revolutions do not happen as a result of democratic votes. If they did, you wouldn't need a revolution. So there's all that sort of clouding of the debate. It's quite clear, 1916 is the pivotal event in our history, the event that led to the freedoms we enjoy today, full stop. Let's celebrate and commemorate it like that.
And to see how the Ireland of today stands up in the context of those dreams and aspirations of almost a century ago.
Thank you.
Is that it? Thank you very much.